Hi, everyone. Today we have Katie Erwin, who graduated from Texas A&M San Antonio in May 2017. She's currently pursuing her specialist in school psychology sort of degree from Texas State University. And as usual, we're going to have our usual list of questions. And at the end, if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to chime in if we have participants logging in live. Okay. So Katie, real quick, can you give us a brief bio of who you are, sort of your origin story? Yeah, so we'll just start there. So who are you and all that good stuff?
Okay. Well, I am what you would consider a non-traditional student. So I came back to college kind of thing. So when I first did college, I was not successful. And I ended up working. I had the benefit of working at Lackland Air Force Base for 14 years with military dogs and detection dogs. So I did that for many, many years and had a great, I love my job there. There was no room for advancement, and for anybody that is a non-traditional student coming back, I mean, you all know that that without an education, you can only go so far. So that's why I decided to go back to school. And I started out slow. I actually went to Palo Alto first and then transferred to A&M San Antonio because I was afraid that I wasn't going to do well. Sure. And but I did really well and found my niche in psychology and really pursued that with my whole heart. And I got into the clubs there at Texas A&M San Antonio, and like the psychology club and psychi, and I also got into the Society of Leadership, the National Society of Leadership that's there, and that really helped build up my confidence. Mm-hmm. And then I got the great opportunity to work with Dr. Dawn in her research lab. Mm-hmm. So that was a great experience for me. So all of those things really built me up to being able to go for grad school. Mm-hmm. And encouragement that I got from the professors there at Texas A&M San Antonio really encouraged me to do that. I remember having a conversation with actually Dr. Rock, who's a great professor, and if anybody knows about him, and he was all like, "So what are you gonna do for grad school?" And I was like, "I didn't know I was going to grad school." So he's like, "Well, I think you can really do it," and I was like, "Oh, okay, well, I'll look into that now." It's like I was one of those kids or students that, not really a kid, but one of those students that I really needed just somebody to believe. And the professors at Texas A&M San Antonio really believed in me. So that was all I really needed for encouragement to go into grad school. So
that's great. Yeah, we'll definitely circle back on all these topics that you kind of brought up in terms of clubs and research. Can you tell us real quickly about your current program and your future plans?
Sure. My program is at Texas State University, and it's a school psychology program. It's a specialist program, so it requires 2 years of study and then 1 year of internship. And then right now I'm in my internship. So I'm in the middle of the internship. Mm-hmm. I am working currently at Floresville ISD, which is just southeast of San Antonio. Mm-hmm. For anybody who's the area. They're a 5A district, and I am working as what they call an LSSP intern. So that's a lot. You're going to get a lot of acronyms when you go to grad school. but it's basically a licensed specialist of school psychology.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I'm what my job to do is to evaluate students
Mm-hmm.
and cognitively and their adaptive functioning and their achievement, taking that all into consideration, as well as their environment, and coming up with a plan on whether they need special education. So if they qualify with a disability, and ensuring that they get services that they need. So whether that's just extra help, or whether they need like a behavioral plan, or they need any kind of like specialized instruction kind of thing. Um, and and right now I'm working with the high school, so that entails actually working with students that are getting ready to go into college or going to vocational school, or going into the workforce. So I'm making sure that they get those transition services they need on finding out what they really want to do with their lives.
Gotcha.
So it's very fulfilling, and I love it.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Okay, so that's awesome background, and I think many of these things we're kind of going to circle back around, particularly now that you're in your internship year. We'll talk about kind of work-life balance with school and things like that. So first, I think a lot of students want to know when we talk to people who are in graduate school or in the workforce, is kind of their overall motivation. So, you know, how did you decide what to study for graduate school?
Okay.
Yeah. So what's the motivation?
Right. So actually my minor was special education, so it just felt very natural to go in that direction. But also what spurred me to go into that direction was my own personal things that I went through going through school. So as I said, like college wasn't that easy for me at the beginning, you know. Well, just school in general wasn't that easy. So I was a delayed learner. And a lot of people wanted to put me in special education, but I had advocates that spoke up for me and helped me, and that really encouraged me to go into that field, because I was like, I really identify with those kids, those parents that have to go through that, and that's really what motivated me to go into that field.
That's wonderful. That's awesome. I think oftentimes students struggle to find their passion, and I think sometimes they want to connect it to their own kind of struggles, but it sounds like you've kind of found that calling. So that's very exciting.
It took a long time, but I finally found it. Good.
Now, it sounds to me like you didn't take a break between undergrad and graduate school. Can you talk to us about that process where you're trying to decide on graduate school, and whether you should take some time off or go straight into it?
Well, actually, it happens kind of organically. I ended up paths open or they close, kind of thing. So I had to wait a year before I could finish applying, because when you go to look at grad schools, you have to be prepared for due dates and those kind of things. So, and taking the GRE and everything like that. So I got a little bit of a late start. So I ended up doing a delay of a year to just get all my ducks in a row, make sure I had everything I needed for my due dates and my applications, because you want to apply at several different schools. And I didn't like sit on my thumbs and not do anything during that year. I worked in with Dr. Dawn in her lab and kind of like mentored people under her and everything like that. And so I learned a lot from doing that, and actually got to present at SWAPA and things like that. So that year was taken up with a lot of like research and presenting and building up my CV and and doing that kind of thing. So it was all beneficial to me getting into grad school, really.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So you did take a year off. I did the same thing. So I got behind with my dates, and I ended up taking a year as well.
It's really hard to stay in while you're going to school and study for the GRE and write all the letters that you need to write and everything like that. So it's like I was blessed to be able to take off a year and do that. Not everybody can, but it was beneficial.
Absolutely. So let's talk about graduate school. What is it like? How is graduate school different than undergrad?
So, and with my particular program, we're in a cohort.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like 20 of us together, and we are all taking the same classes. So we all help each other. There are different tracks, so where some specialize in different things because some of us are blessed with being bilingual. I am not one of those, but that is one of those tracks. There's also that specializes in autism, so which is a specialized kind of service that you would give to students that need it. And also counseling, you could go into counseling also. So but to get back to the way the classes are different, so they're more interactive.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be prepared for your class because it's all built on like practicing what you're learning. So a lot of my time when I first started was learning how to give a cognitive test, learning how to give an achievement test. I'd have to schedule, actually, you have to schedule it with kids. And so it's like, so I'm calling all my friends and asking them if I can borrow their children, you know, because I don't have kids. And so can I borrow your kid for the weekend, you know, for a few hours, you know, and stuff, and harder kind of thing, and begging people to help you out kind of thing. But it's all like practical kind of knowledge, so it's applicable. So that it was more of that. There's not a lot of tests. What tests that we did have, they would be more like, okay, learn this material, take the test, see what you got wrong, retake the test kind of thing, because they want you to learn the material. And they don't really care what your grade was. They just want you to learn the material.
Yeah.
And more of like a credit thing. And you do a lot of presentations and a lot of reporting kind of thing. So you do a lot of papers in their style. And you're kind of learning a new language too. So it's like, because it was a language that you didn't know before. So, because it's very specified to that field.
Right.
So it's a lot different from undergrad. There's not a lot of, I mean, you can study, but it's more like, okay, just doing it over and over again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think.
And lots of group work.
Yes. So students who oftentimes, I don't know, for lack of a better word, complain or whine about group work, and they go, "Oh, why do we have to do this?" Turns out you do a lot of group work in grad school and in the real world. So.
Yeah, most of them are built on group work and learning, you know, that everybody has things in their lives that prevent them from doing things, but we all kind of have the same goal. Mm-hmm. So I noticed, like with my grad school, most people were very like forthcoming and like saying, you know, like I have this, but I'll make this time, like they'll schedule this, you know. And so people are accommodating and they put a lot more effort into it. So but don't think you're gonna have to do all the work yourself kind of thing.
Right. So. It's interesting, yeah. Okay, so moving on, how are you enjoying graduate school so far? Are you happy with the path you've chosen?
I am. It was stressful at first. Not gonna lie, it's a lot. Um, but having a cohort and having professors that are willing to talk with you, talk things out with you, and really learn from them was very beneficial. And most of my teachers, I'd say 99% of the time, were very willing to meet with me and talk with me and work things out, and very understanding and wanting that self-care, take care of yourself first kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because if you can't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anybody else. So, and but having that cohort and having that closeness and learning about them and yourself, really, because you learn about yourself a lot and how you learn and how you interpret things,
Mm,
and that's how you do your work.
yeah, that's good stuff. Thanks, Katie.
Yeah.
So now let's move on to your preparation for graduate school. I think students have many questions here. So, for example, do you feel that A&M San Antonio prepared you to be competitive with graduate school admissions?
I do. I applied to 3 different graduate schools. I got into 2.
Oh,
So, like, I feel like they really prepared me. Dr. Dawn was very influential in preparing me. We actually did I was in like a research class that was also / a graduate class, like to teach you how to apply for graduate school. And that really was a key point to me getting into grad school, because we would all work together and we would read each other's CVs and read each other's cover letters and pick them apart and make them better, and so that was really helpful, and learning the process of how to get into grad school, actually, that helped a lot. I did take the GRE. The schools that I got into, they looked at the whole person, not a number.
mm-hmm.
So the one that I got rejected from, actually, I think they just looked at my GRE score and was like, no. And it wasn't the one I wanted to go to anyway, so that worked out great. It was like, that was my last ditch effort one, so that was the school and then it turned out that that wasn't the school for me anyway, because it was only a master's program, and to be able to work you had to have a specialist degree. So I would have had to have more schooling after I got my degree there, so it actually worked out better for me that I didn't get into there. Okay. So it's just what happens when you lay out your path, kind of thing. But I do feel like that I was very prepared for grad school. I had the research background, I had my special education background, and that really helped me in school psychology, because everything in school psychology is research based.
Right.
So you just choose what you want to give a kid that you think's going to work. It actually has to be research based.
Right.
And so that was very influential in getting me through grad school.
Great. So what classes do you think played a role for your preparation for graduate school, or did they, or did any?
No, they did. I mean, and Dr. Kalmbach's applied psychology, I love that class. That was a great class. I really enjoyed my research work. That was very applicable, like I said earlier. Any of the any of my special education courses, because you have to know a lot about special education law to do what. So that the special education law class was very important, and when you're, all those classes were foundation for what I was going to be doing in grad school. So that really worked out for me. And I was interested in those classes, so that's why I chose them. So that was my motivator. You know, if you're not interested, you're not going to be motivated to do those classes, and you're not going to be motivated to do well.
Right.
Don't do it.
Absolutely. You talked a little bit about things that you did outside of your classes, research with Dr. Dawn, and psychology club. Can you talk a little bit more about those experiences and what you
Sure.
did from them? Yeah.
Yeah. So I really got to learn the community of Texas A&M San Antonio through those clubs. I was the secretary of those clubs, so of both psychi and psychology.
Mm-hmm.
And I really enjoyed it, and knowing people and building the friendships,
Mm-hmm.
because those friendships help you. You need study buddies. You need those people. You're all taking classes, you know, y'all have the same interests, you know,
Yeah.
and people have different perspectives, and that always helps you and benefits you to learn those other perspectives. And just building up that community of help is very important. I also mentioned, like, I was in the National Society of Leadership. That helped also because they would actually have meetings where they taught you how to lead and how to be supportive of others and lead a meeting, and I found that was very important, and it really helped me in my future endeavors, kind of thing. I love Texas A&M San Antonio. It was a great experience for me. So
That's great. That's awesome. Let's see here. This is, I think this is an important question. What do you wish you had known then that you know now? Does that make sense? Sort of now,
yeah.
now that you're sort of on the tail end of your graduate program, what do you wish that you would have known about graduate school when you were in undergrad still?
I wish I would have known that it wasn't, even though it's stressful, it's not as hard as I thought it was going to be.
Okay.
So I mean, there was lots of help there. So they really want you to be successful. They will bend over backwards to help you be successful.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wish I had known that going in. I wouldn't have been as afraid as I was.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then also right after I graduated, you know, it was kind of a wake-up call where it's like, okay, my degree is great and I learned a lot. My bachelor's degree is great and I learned a lot, but it may not get me the job that I really want.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I need to look out there and see what it is I really want to do and what degree I need for that job. Yeah. So if I had known that, maybe I would have started my grad school a little faster than I did instead of waiting that year. But that, like I said, that year was a very important year for me developmentally. So I wouldn't have wanted to really go without that year anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I feel the same way in a lot of regards. I think that's a really good year to kind of know, like, no, I missed school, I want to go back, you know, instead of just moving from one to the next and potentially burning out.
Yeah, my dad was like, you really want to go back to school? I was like, yes, I do.
Okay, so now that you're here, what steps do you think students can take to help them prepare for graduate school?
So really get involved in like what I did, like either the clubs or research. I know Dr. Kalmbach also had a internship availability for working in counseling, I believe. And so really like strive to do a little more, like make yourself a whole person kind of thing. So, and because if you're scared about that GRE, don't make that the only thing that they're going to look at, you know? So make yourself a whole person, an interesting person, and they're going to read those cover letters and they're going to read those recommendations. And so by being part of the community there at Texas A&M San Antonio, you're going to get to learn your professors. You're going to get to learn the other students. Those recommendation letters are very important. So, because that gives the schools an opportunity to see how you do under pressure with your professors, and they're not just looking at a grade, kind of thing. And there are great schools out there looking for that. Texas State, I also got accepted at Our Lady of Lake. The only reason I didn't do that was because of cost. You know, it was a great school, but it just wasn't cost effective for me. But everybody's different. You can get a scholarship, you can get grants, you know, and everything like that, and maybe get into Our Lady of Lake. They have great programs. So and it's a great school. So, but Texas State also had a clinic, so that factored into my grad school because they had an on-site clinic. So that was also like a way, research the schools that you want to be in and the programs you want to be in, because that make a big difference to you on where you want to go. They need you just as much as you need them.
Yep, absolutely. So getting back to this application process, you talked about the GRE a little bit. Can you, I don't know, talk about your process for studying for the GRE, and do you have any recommendations to be successful doing that? So talk a little bit about the GRE.
Okay, so I did study with a group. So we would ask each other questions and bounce each other questions back and forth until we knew it forward and backward. We use a lot of different materials. The library has great GRE materials. I got mine from like a used bookstore. Like it was a little older, but it wasn't that old. So the used bookstore has the old GREs if you're trying to watch your money kind of thing. There's also, I believe there's tutors that'll help you. The school offers to tutor you. I did do that a couple of times. I was most worried about the math because it didn't really make sense to me. So equations, but I'm not good with doing fast math because it's timed, and it's like if I had lots of time I'd be fine, but I don't have lots of time to think it through. So math was the hardest for me, and the other ones I had scored really high on, so that helped. And but because I knew those forward and backwards kind of thing. But having the group of friends and really working together, because we're all taking the GRE together kind of thing, make sure you schedule it where you have time if we need to retake the GRE. Don't do it at the last minute, like your application's due the week before and don't do that to yourself. So make sure got enough time to take it and then retake it if you really need to. I guess the only other thing would be I wish I had probably gone to gotten a tutor that knew like more like tricks kind of thing. So it helped me with the math. But other than that, I felt really solid on the GRE. It was just the math portion, and everybody has their own strengths and weaknesses. So I mean, know your strengths and weaknesses and know where you need to work more on, kind of thing.
Absolutely. Okay, so lastly, can you talk about your application process overall, in terms of securing letters of rec and writing your statements of purpose and things like that? So what was the application process for you like overall?
So I mean, it was good. I had professors that knew me really well. I had Dr. Dawn. I went to Dr. K for a letter of rec. She was great. I went to one of my minor teachers in special education that I'd gotten to know really well and got a letter of rec from him. So get to know your professors and really have conversations with them, so you're not feeling like you're going in there going like begging, or that you feel like you're like, they're like, who are you? Like, don't ask a professor for a letter of rec when they don't know who you are, kind of thing. So make yourself known, participate in class, and really like get to know your professors. Even if it's just in class, you don't need to like know them outside of class if that's not your thing, but really participate and take part and have conversations with them about the work, kind of thing, so they know where you stand, kind of thing, and they'll remember you. Texas A&M San Antonio is still small enough where the professors will know you. You don't have to worry about becoming a number, kind of thing. And have somebody go over those letters of like your cover letter to the school. Make sure like you look at it with a very editing kind of eye, and don't take anything personal. It's just trying to make you better, kind of thing, and have several people go over your CV and see if it makes sense to them, kind of thing. Get feedback. Other thing would be just to have a so cover letter, the recommendation letters,
and but by the way,
the CV.
Sorry. So by cover letter, some folks call that the statement of purpose, right? Or what's another term?
Also, make sure you tailor that. So you need to tailor it to the school, and the program, and one of Dr. Dawn's favorite sayings is, "Don't bury the lead." So it's like get the statement out that is what is going to get their attention. Like, I am this person, kind of thing. You need me. And it's like, so make them want you.
Absolutely. I think that's really good advice. Let's get on to finances. So how do you handle the finances? Do you get financial help from the university?
You can. I actually saved up for many years, so I'm very blessed that I had that in savings because I'm an older student. So I had my college fund that my parents saved for me, plus my savings that I had accrued while I was working. So I used a lot of that. So not a lot of savings anymore. But but they do have financial aid programs. They do have scholarships and grants. I know a lot of students, they worked at the school, so which benefited them because then they were able to know the faculty more, but also know the ins and outs of the school, and also the school would work with their schedule. So that was very important. We had a lot of people that just worked within the school. They would work in the the counseling for the freshmen kind of thing, like as a school counselor for the freshmen. A lot of them took up those kind of jobs.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So
I'm trying to think how else they would do it, but that would be it, like that, just so they could go to school and work at the same time kind of thing.
So to get into specifics here, you know, what's the program costing at Texas State for your master's?
So my program costs around like almost, like for most of the time it was around $4,000.
Okay.
So it may be below or a little above that, but it was really close to being a semester.
Okay.
So except for, of course, the summer, that was a little cheaper. You get like $2,000 because you're only taking a couple courses. And then also the last 2 semesters where I'm doing my internship, it was like $1,200. And I'm getting paid. So that's good.
Oh, that's good. So
paid internship.
It's a paid internship. So you can take what you're making. So I guess the school district pays you to be an intern. Okay. And so that's nice. So you're making money, and you can pay your tuition.
You're right.
That's sort of interesting. You pay them to get an internship that pays you back. That's good. That's good. Nice.
Yeah, it works.
So what general advice do you have for someone intending to go to a graduate program as you're considering this? And this question is specifically when you're considering online versus in-person programs. Did you take a hard look at some online programs, and what's your sort of thought on online versus in-person programs?
Okay. So when I applied, there wasn't really online programs for school psychology. They want you in the school. Because it's a very hands-on kind of practice. So and even like 2 semesters before I go into my internship, I had to do practicum, which I would spend 2 days a week in schools as a prep for internship kind of thing. So they prepare you. And it's very hands-on kind of thing. So it really, online wasn't an option until the pandemic hit, and then it became a have to. Right. So we did all of our last school classes in Zoom, and that was fine, actually, because you at least got to see the person kind of thing. Yeah. And they were still interactive classes kind of thing where everybody could voice their opinions or anything like that. And teachers were in touch a lot more kind of thing. Yeah. So because we'd all make the effort. But there is a little bit of a disconnect when you do the Zoom. It feels like you're like waiting for somebody to say something. Right, of course. And also, like, you're like, well, should I say something? Where before you could measure the other people in the class and go, yeah, I can say something. And now I don't know if I should say anything, you know. Yeah. Interrupt somebody. So it's kind of hard to look at everybody's face on Zoom. I mean, you can, but if it's a bigger class, it's going to be hard to fit 20 people on a screen, kind of thing. You're going to do something. Absolutely.
So, what is the outlook like? I think school psychology in terms of jobs is pretty neat, right? So, can you talk about sort of opportunities? And then maybe you don't have to talk about specifically, your salary, but can you tell students who may be sort of interested in this field what are you expecting to earn, or what salary ranges are you
Right.
pursuing with your degree?
Right. So school psychology is a growing field. It is very much needed because the awareness is now here that kids with disabilities that maybe not have been thought of to be disabilities before. So it's like gonna get those kids that ADHD is a real thing, and autism is a real thing, and anxiety and depression all factor into a kid's progress. So now address those kind of things. Those things are handled by us. Those are not handled by the school counselor. So if somebody's actually been diagnosed with a condition, with a disorder, that goes into special ed. Even if it still has to affect their academics though. Right. So if they're able to function, then it would just be handled by general education. But if it actually affects their performance in class, then that's a school psychologist. So that's going to be, they're going to be referred to us. Yeah. So they can get free services that they're entitled to. So it's a growing field, and it's really an essential field, and it's not going to go away. Right. So it's your job. The other thing is as an intern, you can make the ranges were a little wide, so it just depends on the school district. But it can go anywhere from like in the 40,000 range a year, so like 50 maybe at the most, kind of thing, as an intern. Once you get your license and you've done your year of internship, and I think it's do another year on top of the internship, then you can get a pay raise, and depending on the school district in this area, it ranges to, you're closer to 64,000 to 69,000, depending on how many years that you have under your belt, kind of thing, too. Wow.
Yeah, that's super impressive.
So you can live on that.
Yeah, that's a pretty comfortable living. So that's awesome. And I mean, I just remember when I was in grad school, I had a couple of friends who were pursuing their PhD in school psych, and I just know that in school districts were just lining up to kind of offer them jobs, the type of deal.
Yeah, so, you will not have a hard time finding a job.
Yeah, so,
and if you want to go for your PhD also, I mean, then you would be able to teach also. So you could become a teacher of school psychology in college, kind of thing, in the grad school. So most of my professors were PhDs. So
yeah, and in terms of what you can and can't do, what are some differences between the PhD and the specialist position?
So like, as a specialist, I more than likely couldn't teach.
Right. No, I'm talking about in your job school district.
Okay. So as a PhD, you could actually open a private practice. That would be the big difference. Okay. So you could actually see students on a personal basis, in your office, kind of thing. It wouldn't be associated with the school, and you could charge more. So so that factor. But as a specialist, you're tied to the school, so I can only work in a school setting, so I can't work in like a clinic or anything like that. I have to work with the school district.
Interesting. Huh. Very cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, even as an intern making 40 something, I think that's pretty impressive. And obviously, once you finish your education, it looks like, yeah, you can, definitely support yourself and your family. Awesome.
Right. And since I'm a little older, I was like, I really want to start working. So it was just like, I'm just going to get my specialist. I can start working, earn money.
Yeah.
And then if I want to, I'll get my PhD, and everything. But I really wanted to start working. So
That's totally fair. So to kind of wrap up here, let's talk a little bit about how graduate school has been for you in terms of your ability to balance graduate school and your other responsibilities, work, life.
right. So it is stressful. It has a lot of reading. So if you're not a reader, that can make it difficult. So you're going for your passion. You're going for what you want to do with your life. So you're going to make a little more of an effort to do those things and prioritize your life, kind of thing. And your family will help you, because your success is their success. I could not do this without my family.
Mm-hmm.
So even though it adds stress, I could not do it without my family.
Right.
So that's always the factor. And and your professors know that you have a life outside of school.
Mm-hmm.
You have family, you have responsibilities, you have work. All the classes, we didn't really talk about this, but all the classes at Texas State for grad school are either in the afternoon or at night.
Oh, wow.
So they know that you have a life outside of school.
Mm-hmm.
And they're long classes. They're like 4-hour classes, but they're discussion kind of classes. Yeah. Professor's like, we're not going to stay 4 hours. That's not happening.
Right.
And you get breaks and stuff like that. But you get 4 classes a week,
Mm-hmm.
and you spend you're spending 1 day on that one class, kind of thing. Anyway. So it's like, if you can schedule yourself that way, that's helpful. But it's just working together with if it's a cohort kind of place, and doing collaborations with them, making yourself better. Your family will help you, and they're really what you're doing this for. You're doing it for yourself. You're also doing it for your family to make your life better.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, you're gonna make the effort to prioritize, kind of thing, on what you can and can't do. You'll know, like, you'll learn about yourself, and you'll know what I can and can't do, and you'll tell your professors, like, I don't think I can do that. How can I do that? And you'll work out a way to do it with them. They will work with you. So don't freak out. Everybody has a life, and they want you to take care of yourself.
That's great.
One of my professors, Dr. Dennison, she was really great about starting classes. I guess she knew we were kind of a nervous cohort or something. And she would start all our classes with like a breathing technique or a visualizing technique, something to calm everybody down to where we could start the class. And it would just take 5-10 minutes at the most of class, Yeah. And everybody way more productive. So if your professor doesn't do that, do it for yourself. Before you go to class, take 5 minutes, do a breathing technique, do a nature walk, something. At Texas State, oh my gosh, it's nothing but walk.
Right.
So walk all the time and look at nature, and that would relax me enough to where, okay, I can start my class, without having butterflies and having to go, and be all anxiety and everything like that. So don't do that to yourself. Take that 5-10 minutes before class and settle yourself and do what what is best for you, kind of thing.
Excellent. Well, Katie, I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your weekend where we're actually recording on a Sunday afternoon, because Katie works from 8 to 5 like a real adult. Again, we can't thank you enough for giving us your time, for sharing your time with us. And if it's okay with you, would you be open to having students connect with you? Like, can I share your email if students are interested in following up with you?
Sure, that'd be great. I'd talk to anybody.
Excellent.
As if you can't tell.
Well, thank you so much, Katie. We'll connect soon, and yeah, but best of luck with the rest of your program. It sounds like you're in great hands there.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking your time too.
Okay, of course. Bye, Katie.
Bye.